Good afternoon.
It was lovely. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon. We're still at Politico's Competitive Europe Summit, and I'm Peter Haak. I'm Politico's AI reporter. I mean, I'm human, but I report on AI. A European AI is essential for our independence. That's a quote from Ursula von der Leyen during her State of the Union. Globally, the race to lead in AI is underway, and for Europe, the picture doesn't look too great. Only 13% of European companies use AI, and last year, VCs invested $13 billion in European AI compared to $85 billion in the US. How can we improve that? How can we become more competitive? We're going to speak about that with Lucilla Scioli, who is the boss of the EU's AI office, and with Roxane Varza, who is the head of the startup hub, the French startup hub, Station F. Welcome both. Yeah, let's maybe start, of course, with that number of 13%. Let's not sugarcoat that. That's not a great number. That's even a bad number. Luckily, the Commission has a plan to improve that number and to boost AI adoption across Europe. That plan is called the Apply AI Strategy. It's coming next week. You can break some news here on stage and give us a sneak peek of what is in the plan.
Well, thanks a lot for the question, and thanks a lot for inviting me here. It will be published on the 7th, as you said, and I cannot tell you much about it, but I can tell you that it's a strategy that we have announced already about stimulating greater adoption of AI among companies. You mentioned 13.5%, I think it is. It's not a great number, but it is increasing very fast. And what is important and what we really want to see is that companies integrate AI in their production processes, in their business processes. It's not about having, ChatGPT on your desk when you go to work and then you tick a box that you use AI. So we want to see AI really carrying a transformation of our strategic sectors. And we look at AI as a real opportunity for source of competitiveness and also of sovereignty. So we will have sectorial actions across main sectors, from healthcare to robotics, manufacturing, and so on. We will also have some horizontal action, because, of course, some activities are common to all. So we will have to see how we can help the small, medium enterprises. We have to see how we can help the workforce in different sectors, and how to address some of the data issues that emerge. So stay tuned, and I think it will be an interesting read. Of course, we will go deep into the sectors. Every action per sector is actually different, because every sector has a different challenge when it comes to the AI transformation. But it's very important, because this is pivotal now at this moment in time. Either we manage to use AI and very advanced AI, and as we go towards agentic AI, we also have to prepare for that, or we will risk to lose the competitiveness of our key sectors.
Is there one of the sectors where you see a particularly pressing need to do something or to really push further?
Many sectors need to push further. No, I don't want to pick one in particular, but I want to say that maybe let me pick, not because it's behind, but just because I think it's very important. Healthcare. I think that healthcare is a sector which has the potential to transform very quickly with artificial intelligence. But it's also a very sensitive sector because of the data, because of the trust you need to have in the technology, in the devices that you use. So we really want to unlock the opportunities that AI can transform this particular sector. A lot of other activities will have to go with it, but healthcare can provide new markets, can provide better care, and so I think an important source of welfare for our society, but also for our economy.
So healthcare professionals also need to watch next week's Apply AI strategy. Roxane, I want to bring you here. Early this year, we were all in Paris for the AI Action Summit, this big global AI summit. Station F was then a big venue of the summit. I think also at that summit, we all had the feeling that something had changed in the global AI landscape. Previously, it was all about regulating AI. Then suddenly it was all about winning the race, having the best startups, the leading startups. Do you have the feeling that that momentum is still ongoing, or is there still some hurdles that really block companies from developing and deploying AI?
Well, great question. I think if you're asking on a global level, that race is definitely very much still on. And I think we're feeling it. At Station F, we're working with early stage companies. So from day one, from day zero, when they start building something, we're seeing now that momentum and speed matters more than ever. We're seeing companies even in Europe that are now announcing that they have 100 million in annualized revenue within 8 months of their launch. This is stuff we've just never seen with any other tech trend in the past. And investors are here to make that money back. And I think a lot of investors who've deployed a lot of money in AI in Europe, I think we don't have as many companies today that are generating that amount of money. So anything that we can do to help bring better AI talent to Europe and help streamline anything that they're trying to deploy, whether it be on an administrative level or on a commercial level, I think it's really going to help us pick up the pace. Yeah. So you mentioned that funding earlier. I think that's where we have to concentrate.
But also on pickup and adoption of AI tools. Well, you're here with the person drafting the Apply AI strategy. There is still a week to go. Is there something you still want to get into the strategy, something that you would like to pitch?
Well, I didn't hear all of the details. So we'll have to dive a little bit deeper. But yes, I think the startups, they always have more and that they want to ask, and I think rightfully so. But I do feel like the policymakers are really listening and on the ground as well. So maybe it's a complete plan.
Yeah. I want to go a bit deeper into this whole interplay between regulation and innovation. It's a big debate here in Brussels. Some lobbies and some companies have said, like, we have to do away with all this regulation. We have to go faster. We have to be better, bolder, etc. And I think a very critical point there is the whole debate around passing the AI Act, yes or no. What's the status in that debate, and are we really heading towards an AI Act pass?
Well, I'll be frank with you. We had some prohibitive practices, obligations, which applied in February. We have...
There's a little technical glitch. Okay. We're back.
We have the obligations relating to general purpose AI models. Thank you. Related to general purpose AI models. Does this work? This doesn't work. No. These rules.
That's technology for you folks.
Thank you. Okay. So we have the rules on general purpose AI models and the obligation, the code of practice, which were applicable since August. So we have not paused. Now, what is under discussion is the time of applicability of the rules on high-risk systems, because these systems are based on, would be ideally be based on standards. You know, when we prepared the AI Act, we really wanted it to be innovation-friendly. So we really wanted to use standards as a presumption of conformity. This really greatly facilitates business life. And these standards are being developed, but there is a little delay. So now we are in the process of discussing also with the standardization organizations exactly the timing, and just to see whether we need to delay of a certain period or not, given the status of the development of the standards. So I just want to clarify, it's not about pausing the whole AI Act. It's really about checking if and when the standards can be delivered, and to organize ourselves around that.
And if I were to ask you what the chances are at the moment that there will be delays, and you can only say a number, what would that be?
We're still assessing. I will not say a number.
Still assessing, okay.
But can I just say one thing to follow up on what she was saying before? About the startups in particular in Apply AI. So One other important element of Apply AI is going to be the fact that we would like to see more uptake of European solutions by the traditional sectors of our economy. So we would really like to see the European startups being able to sell their solutions to maybe larger European companies. I think this is part of the ecosystem we have to become much stronger in Europe to build.
We've seen an example of that. We've seen French Mistral, the big AI hope, a big investment by Dutch ASML into Mistral. Is that the blueprint for then AI adoption in Europe, plugging AI companies into this industrial fabric?
I mean, I think it definitely could. I think Europe has a lot of great industrial players. And also, if you look in the US, we mentioned the funding comparison between Europe and US earlier. A lot of the big AI deals have a lot of the big technology companies as investors. So our blueprint could very well be something similar to what we saw there. But I think anytime now we have a French company that so much hints as a potential acquisition, we then see another huge round of funding get confirmed. It's quite exciting.
Okay. I also want to talk about the other great AI race. That's the race for AI compute. Everywhere across the world, there are big data centers being built to power and to train these complex and advanced models. Europe also has a plan to do that, the so-called AI gigafactories. Yet, in the beginning of this year, France announced that a multi-billion-dollar deal with the UAE to build an AI data center. Is that a show? Is it a signal that maybe Europe is not going fast enough, that you already have to go reach out elsewhere to get the AI compute power?
I mean, it's interesting because I think if you look, we can compare that announcement with maybe Stargate in the US. And Stargate also has non-American money in the mix. So I don't think you're going to have a 100% European, 100% American investment for that type of infrastructure. So it doesn't surprise me. And also, it's just not what we're seeing elsewhere.
Yeah. But that was already announced early this year, the gigafactories. It's still preparatory work. Is it too little, too late, or?
No, it's definitely under works.
Yeah.
There were some announcements made earlier this year. I don't have all the plans because I'm not on that team, but no, that's definitely moving forward.
Yeah, Lucila, I saw you nodding when she said, like, okay, it's not all gonna be EU money.
No, I don't know. We will see. This is still in the making. I'm nodding in particular when she says there have been many responses and many applications. You know, we had a call for expression of interest to see who in Europe was willing to invest in the gigafactories. And we were surprised ourselves to see that we had, I think it's 77 responses. Many of these responses are made by groups of companies, so consortia already organized, sometimes already supported by government. So I find this a very good signal that in Europe there are actors that are willing to invest in AI. Now we may not have, you know, the big, very large platforms who invest, you know, very substantial amount of money, but I think we have important actors that take this very seriously, and I think that the gigafactories is an excellent example of this.
At the start of this process, it was said like, okay, we're going to try to build 4 to 5 AI gigafactories with a budget of 20 billion. Given the huge interest, are you willing to lift that number or to maybe build more and enable more and foresee more budget?
But we will see. Now, the budget, let's be clear, it's not all public support. I mean, when you talk about the AI factories and the public network of supercomputers, there is public sector budget, half from the Commission, half from the member states. Gigafactories are much more expensive. Each gigafactories may cost around 4 billion euros. So the public sector cannot support that. That's why we went to check the interest of private actors to intervene, and the idea is to set them up as public-private partnership. Yeah. So we now working with the member states also to see how all these interests can be consolidated in fewer projects than 77. And then we will have a real call at the beginning of next year, and then...
But if you, for example, see in the beginning of next year, let's say that there are 8 viable projects with the funding available.
Well, if the funding is available, of course, you can go ahead, no problem.
Okay, that's noted. Back to what you said about startups, because of course startups here in Brussels feel they're often overseen, yet they're very important to, of course, to drive this AI race. Recently there has been a lot of interest from the startup community for this 28 regime. Can you maybe explain the audience what this is, the 28 regime, and why there is such a huge interest in that?
Sure. I'm wearing my fan button. So this is essentially, I'm going to explain it like this. It's to make the European equivalent of Delaware. However, it would not be allocating, like Delaware is a state that exists. This would be kind of making another state, if you will, so that the countries don't have to battle it out for who it gets to be. So I think it's brilliant. And I think it would definitely simplify a lot of things from an administrative level to investments to what have you. I think it would actually really solve a majority of Europe's problems. Now, I actually talked to some of the people who are piloting this initiative, and they talked about the timing to roll it out. While it probably sounds quite fast on a policy level, I think on the ground to startups, we're talking about it today, we want it tomorrow. So anything that we can do to speed this up will definitely help.
And proposal on this is expected in the first quarter of next year. Of course, many commission services are probably involved in that. What can the AI office do for startups and to also feed into this 28 regime?
Well, you know, we work a lot with the startups because in Europe, most of the developments in AI are made by startups. So for us, startups are very important actors. So we work with them in every single activity we actually undertake. Now, the 28th regime is very important. It's about harmonizing corporate law basically across the European Union, only for the startups, because they obviously find it very difficult to scale up in the European Union because there are many laws, corporate law, employment, and taxation, and so on, which differ across European countries. So, a startup who wants to scale up in more than a couple of countries may find it very difficult at the moment. So we need, generally speaking, more of a single market, but in the meanwhile, we are trying to develop this 28th regime approach, and I really hope we'll be faster than than we may have announced.
Yeah. I briefly also wanted to dip into the issue of AI skills. We often see big tech companies in the US paying giga salaries to their AI researchers and really offering them the chance to work with the most frontier AI models. Can Europe really compete with that, or are we going to see our AI talent going to the US again, like we've seen that before?
Well, I think you're asking the question at a very opportune time because H-1B was impacted, 1 week ago? But I think to respond to your question about can we build the talent locally, actually, if you look at all of the leading AI and often the research and the tech teams in the US, happens to a lot of times have a lot of European talent there. So it turns out that we're actually building the talent locally, and then it's joining these companies. Now, I think a lot of things could sway that in a different direction. I mean, I think one of those things could be how easy it is to build a company here, but also I think a lot of the companies here want to employ that talent, want to make it attractive to employ that talent. So I think there is an opportunity, and a huge one right now. We just have to see what's going to happen with H-1B and if it's going to last. But right now, Europe feels like there's a huge opportunity to attract that talent.
Yeah. Lucilla, you also have to recruit AI talent for your AI office. How easy is that?
Yes, I do.
Can you compete with these big salaries?
No, I cannot. But actually, we recruited, for example, about 25 people that would have a PhD in AI, and they're interested in coming to work in the AI office because they are interested in the approach that we take in terms of particular testing and evaluating very large models. And they're also attracted by the European idea. So I would say that, I'm very glad to see that young people are not only interested in the size of the salary, but they're also interested in the mission that organizations have. And yes, as she said, this is a great time to stay in Europe and to choose Europe.
That's a clear message. Young people still care about mission and not only about the money. Some takeaways I've heard. We should definitely look next week, apply AI strategy. We already got a teaser. There might be more gigafactories if funding is available. And we have to give startups all the means necessary to scale in Europe. I want to thank my fellow speakers here on stage. Thanks for being here. To the audience, I want to say you now have a network lunch to look forward to. That's also really nice. And at 2:30, we're back for the next stream, which focuses on strategic autonomy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, and thanks to everyone here. Just before you all leave the room for lunch, the first stream of Politico's Competitive Europe Summit is coming to a close. Just wanted to wrap up with a few summaries from this morning. We've heard from our panelists about how Europe is rethinking its place in the new world order, strengthening its unity, resilience, and autonomy, but building old and new partnerships and generating in-house innovation and growth. We've heard how the Draghi report is core to Europe's political programme, but needs to be implemented more quickly, with more urgency, and according to some speakers, in a much more radical way. We've heard about the tension between sovereignty and European unity. There's an underlying factor in much of the current political debate, including on issues critical to competitiveness, but also how integration can potentially protect sovereignty, with the example from Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Taras Kachka of about how integrating Ukraine into Europe's electricity market in 2022 saved the country. We've heard of a lot of specific asks from industry, including lowering electricity prices, simplifying regulations at both the EU and local levels, and getting greater access to the Commission and commissioners. And we've heard that although the rules-based world order is deteriorating, the EU does have an opportunity to leverage its advantage in key sectors like biotech and semiconductors to hold its own against the US and China. And we'll be digging more into the topic of strategic autonomy this afternoon. But above all, I think our discussion showed that these are complicated, complex, messy issues. And the real question is whether Europe can solve them in time, as the world keeps changing at a record pace. I would like to thank all of our speakers who participated this morning, as well as our moderators and the crew. Thank you to our partners for making this summit possible, our leading partners ASML, Bayer, FPA, Google, our presenting partners Lilly, DP World, Revolut and Santander, and our knowledge partner McKinsey Global Institute. We have lots of food for thought this morning, and now we'll have actual food. So outside there is a networking lunch until 2:30 in the main networking room. I want to remind you, you can come and meet our product teams in the networking space, and our reporters are running around chasing news, so please do talk to them if you have any news to give them or just want to chat. While you're out there, you can also explore the rest of our partners' installations and booths and connect with fellow attendees. This afternoon, we're going to turn our attention to Europe's quest for strategic autonomy. It's a deeply important conversation and one that's been keeping EU decision makers awake at night, so we're going to talk about that. See you here for Stream 2 after lunch on Europe's quest for strategic autonomy. Have a wonderful lunch. Happy networking.
Are united in diversity. We are very heterogeneous in our opinion.
We are doing this in our open democracies. Discussion is all open and loud, and I'm not for that.
What is European Union? What is freedom? How we learn together?